So my name is Gerald, and my main question is like, it's for Charlie. Like, why do you feel like the Civil Rights Act was a mistake?
So parts of it were really good, parts of it were not so good. So, for example, the way the Civil Rights Act was constituted is that now it is being applied in ways that it was never intended. And so the Civil Rights Act has now been used as this major overarching standard that is not just about ending bitter racial segregation, which I'm against and you're against, right? No person should ever be discriminated based on the color of their skin. What the Civil Rights Act has done, passed through multiple decades, is the law of unintended consequences, that it's created this leviathan within the Department of Justice. For example, let me give you just another example. I have like 100 of these. In the state of North Carolina, they wanted to say that you need voter ID in order to vote. I don't know where you come down on that issue. I think that requiring identification to vote is so normal, so simple. It is skin color. It's colorblind, right? Merrick Garland from the Department of Justice came in and sued and says you should not be able to ask for voter ID because of the Civil Rights Act, because it disproportionately hurts black Americans. So what would happen is the Civil Rights Act, it did not target discrimination. It targeted disparities, and disparities is different than discrimination. Does that make sense? So individualized discrimination, we've always been against. But what happens if you have one group that does better than another group? There are other explanations for that other than racism. Unfortunately, the Civil Rights Act, what it does is it goes back and says everything can be ascribed back to racism as our original sin. Now, let me just go one final point, is that the fanfare that the Civil Rights Act is met with, it's almost like the new Constitution. We talk about the Civil Rights Act more than the Constitution. It is cited more than the Constitution. We almost had a new American founding in the 1960s with the Civil Rights Act, which, again, I want to be very clear, and I've always been, no human being should ever be discriminated against because of the color of their skin. That is always something we've agreed with. But the Civil Rights Act has become almost the super constitution of the land.
So let me say a couple words, because this is actually something that's near and dear to my heart. The Civil Rights Act was part of a broader project that LBJ had called the Great Society. And one of the things, I'm a pragmatist, I'm a businessman by background. I look at the results. So let me share a couple hard facts with you, which is that it turns out that you're much more likely to end up in prison, you're much more likely to end up in poverty, you're much more likely not to graduate from high school if you grow up in a single-parent household versus a dual-parent household. Mm-hmm. Today, you're talking about upwards of 60% of black kids born into single-parent households rather than dual-parent. What number do you think that was in the 1950s before the Great Society?
Probably like 40. Like
it was even less, 20%.
Damn.
20% back then. So then we look at what the results have been of this entire agenda. Put the Civil Rights Act, put the LBJ Great Society. Black Americans are worse off today, even economically in terms of mobility, than they were back then, in the name of laws that were passed to suppose